Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the ESL Pro Series. I'm Madals, and we're getting into map number 1 of this best of 3. It's a PvP and spawning in the top right hand position as the blue Protoss player. He represents Madals. It's HasuObs. And his opponent down to the bottom right, as I realise I may have stopped sound, is none other than the red Protoss player representing XMG, Socke. Who apparently wants a brief second. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know what's going on here. I also don't know why there's no sound from in-game. Something is definitely causing strange things. May have to restart my StarCraft client at some point, but it's not urgent. So this brief pause gives us a moment to think about PvP as a matchup. And well, it's actually a pretty exciting matchup nowadays. And the reason for that is that there's no kind of I win builds or build order losses usually. There are still a couple, but it's not like there's massive ones or you're playing rock, paper, scissors. At least in my opinion, it's quite easy to open safely. Things like the 2 gateway expands, things like a gate into a Stargate is pretty safe. Even, to be honest, things like a DT expand are still a very normal build that you can go for. Just depends what you want to try and achieve going into the mid-game. Mid-game losses are still quite popular. Generally a third base is really hard to get, so we just got to keep an eye out. Apparently I still have absolutely no sound coming through, which is a bit strange. I don't really know what's going on there. Sound is definitely on, so I don't know what's happening. It's clearly being a bit odd. I'll try and fix it in a minute, but yeah, we're back into this game. Frost both spawning the top positions. Let's quickly try and fix this sound, shall we, because it is incredibly annoying. So I turn everything off, and then turn everything back on again. Hopefully now, it will magically work. Or not, or it will just be silent, and continue being awesome like that. So anyway, these players, what are they doing? Well, they're both opening up with gateways coming down. Gases are kind of going to be the first place there could be some kind of deviation from their build orders. One gas is usually pretty safe to go. Looks like HasuObs going to be going up to 2, and so is Socke. Still doesn't mean it's the same though. Each could get down basically 3 probes in each, in which case they're going quite tech heavy. Or they can just chuck out 2 probes in each, in which case they're looking more to go for a safe standard opening. So for the moment, HasuObs put 3 probes in one. How many is he going to stick in the other one? 1. Just the 1. Okay, so he's going to 4. This is a bit strange. There we go, 2 in there. Should catch up. Meanwhile, Socke, he's gone straight up to 6 probes in gas. Super heavy, super big investment into that. And that means that he's going to be going for a tech-heavy opening. Could be a super safe tech-heavy opening, in which case he'll get down a lot of sentries and stuff like that. But alternatively, it's going to be a quick Stargate, or some kind of quick tech, maybe a quick Twilight Council. All very possible builds. Anyway, we do have at the moment HasuObs just scouting out. He's the first person to send a probe out to scout. Meanwhile, Socke just happy sitting in his base and waiting for his cyber core to finish. And this is when we're going to first see the tech. 2 places you can put it, kind of around here is probably more likely. Down the back there is the most common place you'll see the tech come through. He is going down a sentry, so that's where his early gas has gone. Sentries are a really safe way to open up because you can force field off the ramp, buying yourself some much needed time if required. So, Stargate coming down for HasuObs at the moment. And that means that he's going to be going for the aggressive play. Most likely, an Oracle will be coming out. Generally, the standard thing you'll see from a Protoss player in PvP, if you're going to go for a Stargate. What he follows up with next is going to be quite important, though. Socke has expanded very, very early on. This is a much quicker expansion than HasuObs. And HasuObs is unfortunately going to get the scout down pretty much last on his opponent, but has placed the pylon ready to get some warpins going. Meanwhile, the Oracle is on its way out. Doesn't know where to go yet, out of the bottom left or bottom right. And it's also delaying the scout on this natural that Socke's gone for. Socke now adding in his own Stargate, but this is clearly a lot later than his opponent's timing of that, since the Oracle is about to pop anyway. That's going to come across, start dealing some damage down, especially if we don't see a Stalker or something coming through. Double gateway production. has now started up, and that means that it's going to be 3 gates plus a Stargate from Socke, but mainly defensive because he's expanding out. HasuObs getting ready to take his expansion now. Still hasn't scouted his opponent, and that's the Oracle's job now since the probe is in the wrong position. HasuObs following it up with a Phoenix, which will help him counter the Oracle that's currently being produced by Socke. Socke though, now starting to take a little bit of probe damage. He's got a couple of sentries there, but sentries are not efficient at dealing with Oracles. A Photon Overcharge is going to be forced for this Oracle. Oh, he nearly managed to get another kill, but he actually gets taken down. That's not something that you ever want to happen. It's devastating should that occur. Oracle now for Socke coming up. The Phoenix getting ready to intercept though, so that's still going to do more damage than, it's going to do less damage than HasuObs was able to do with his. So both players losing an Oracle, but Socke also losing 4 probes and the energy from the Mothership Core in order to Photon Overcharge. So generally that was a better trade for HasuObs. But regardless, Socke is still keeping up in the probe count because he has still got his natural base up a lot sooner than HasuObs has. He's also getting down that Twilight Council. Probably going to be going for some kind of blink play now. Knows the Phoenix are being produced. There's already 3 on the field, a 4th one on its way out as well. Oh, sorry, 4 on the field, a 5th one on its way out now. Couple of probes going to start getting taken down here. Nice little pickups there. More harassment damage getting achieved pretty damn fast now. In total, 8 workers have been killed. Some more in the main base could take some damage. The Mothership Core getting focused at the moment. And remember, a Mothership Core is armoured, but doesn't actually have that much health. For Phoenix, can do actually a very good job of picking off a Mothership Core, should they wish. But for the time being, those Stalkers are able to deter any further aggression. Stargate has also stopped producing more Phoenix at 5, and robotics facility is coming down instead. And that's really where Socke is going to start falling behind in tech. He does have Blink coming down, which will certainly help him against this army composition, but he's losing a sentry now. 2 of them go down. Of course, they're light units, so once lifted, take a lot of damage. 2 sentries for 1 Phoenix is a fantastic trade. So much more gas taken out than actually what was lost, and that's always what you're looking to trade in PvP. Pretty much any matchup, actually. Trading gas efficiently is probably the most important thing you can do. Socke now going up for the Dark Shrine. It's been proxied, so there's no way for HasuObs to scout this out. However, with his robotics facility finished up, the first thing out of this should be an observer. It's generally a very bold move not to get an observer down, but it's going to be an immortal coming out. So that is a very bold play. Phoenix, though, coming to harass a bit more, and HasuObs just on top of the harassment at the moment in this game. He's managed to kill 11 workers so far. Absolutely huge. And by getting 11 worker kills, he's got himself a decent lead, although not as sizable as you'd expect, with now 12 workers having been killed. However, HasuObs gets a miracle scout. He finds the Dark Shrine. But 2 Stalkers warping in defensively now for Socke will force HasuObs back, but he knows it's coming. And because of that, an observer will 100% always be around outside the natural base, ready to find any Dark Templar that try and attack. Phoenix now continuing to just float about, harass where possible. 14 workers now killed. Those Phoenix definitely doing a great job, giving HasuObs a 10 worker lead at the moment. These 2 Stalkers coming through, but Socke's got a lot more behind them with Blink, so this one Voidway is going to have to achieve a lot, but a nice Blink up into the high ground. The robotics facility being focused, the Immortal essential to try and stop this push. No Dark Templar yet. The Phoenix are currently just rampaging through the natural base, so as long as HasuObs holds here, he's going to be in a good spot. The Voidway getting a nice bit of damage down, only takes shield damage in return, and the first Immortal has now hit the field. 19-1 workers killed at the moment, and that is absolutely astronomical for HasuObs. He's got a big lead. He's 8 workers up and has been up in worker count throughout this game. Needs to make sure he keeps it that way. In terms of resources lost too, Socke losing significantly more than his opponent, over twice as much. And when you're mining less and losing more, it's generally a recipe for disaster. HasuObs, though, isn't out of this game yet. Of course, he's got the Dark Templar, which he can try and harass with, try and poke and prod with, should he want to. He's also got Archons available because of that. Plus, he's got Blink, and his opponent doesn't yet. HasuObs is only just starting up his Blink tech now. And what that means is that in Stalker-on-Stalker engagements, Socke has much higher micro potential. Those Phoenix come in yet again, getting some more damage down. And HasuObs has now killed 21 workers. 10 workers up still. So HasuObs is definitely falling a bit behind in that worker production. But unfortunately, the harassment he's doing now isn't perfect, because he's not actually knocking the economy of Socke any further back than it would be currently, because Socke still has enough workers to be fully saturated at both of his bases. The advantage will come if and when HasuObs decides to take a third, because that's when he'll be able to mine more efficiently. The Dark Shrine is now going to get focused down. HasuObs coming across here with a decent amount of his army, the 2 Immortals. This does expose his main base and natural to aggression if it was coming, but there's not enough here at the moment for Socke to do much. The Phoenix see a few Stalkers moving forward. One Phoenix gets ridiculously close to death. May actually get taken down. No, it's not chased, so it's going to survive. Do have a pylon coming down behind this. We've got the Immortal. 4 more Stalkers down here for Socke. But what Socke doesn't have is an Observer. That could spell some bad times if a DT sneaks on him. Currently though, I don't think there is actually a DT on the field as of... Oh no, sorry, there is. One DT desperately trying to chase this down as the War Prism drop comes through. Sees the War Prism, and that should allow Socke to position his army and his Stalkers specifically in a way to deal with that War Prism. War Prism though at the moment just waiting, not rushing to get through or come and deal some damage. Socke getting ready to take his third base significantly faster than that of HasuObs, and HasuObs' War Prism now gonna get taken down. That is a massive snipe for Socke there, and as a result it means that actually resources lost wise, in one snipe off, Socke has caught up quite a lot. He's still lost more than his opponent, but it's not as substantial as it was before. Fleet Beacon is also coming through for Socke now, and that's a really smart move. That Fleet Beacon means he can start producing Tempest. Tempest counter Colossi so incredibly well. They're pretty much essential late game PvP. But there's no Colossus down for Socke yet, nor any Tempest. Nice pickups with those Phoenix, allow a lot of the Stalkers to get sniped off early on. There's 3 Immortals though in the army composition for Socke. HasuObs does not yet know that the third base is there. However, he is moving around the left of this cliff in order to come and take it out. The Voidoids are going to get some good damage down. Nice little time warp usage. There's the 2 Archons as well at the front, 2 more at the back. They can soak up a lot of damage. A Photon Overcharge is also being used. HasuObs pulling back. He's up in supply, but that's mainly an army supply. He's about 25, 30 army supply up, which is actually very substantial. The Colossus as well is going to help him deal some really good damage. It's got extended thermal lance, so it's got decent range. The Phoenix not able to contribute much more to this fight. However, it's just the sheer Immortal and Archon count that is winning it at the moment for Socke. And while there is another Colossus coming in the back for HasuObs, is it going to be enough? Socke's Archons dealing a lot of damage and soaking up a lot of damage, and the Colossus from HasuObs has no choice but to retreat away. Amazing defense there by Socke, and actually HasuObs falls a bit behind in the army supply after that, and critically his third base is not saturated at all, so Socke is gonna have the better income and a much better gas income. Plus he's going for Tempest. He didn't have a single Tempest down when that last push came. He had no direct counter to the Colossus. HasuObs is still producing Colossi. He's already up to 2, a third one on its way, but the Tempest will quickly shred through them if enough can get out on the field for Socke. Socke also looking to add in more Immortals, so he's going for a very powerful force. And the third base is now up and running for HasuObs too, although he hasn't yet taken the gas, which means gas income wise, his opponent's still mining around 200 more per minute. Plus 3, attack coming down simultaneously for both of these two players, so very, very equal upgrades on both sides. Still keeping a close eye on everything that's coming down, but to be honest, neither player is going to want to engage frantically for the next minute or so, or couple of minutes, because they're going to want to wait until they've got the army composition they've been gunning for throughout the mid-game, and that, for HasuObs, is a decent number of Colossus, and for Socke, it's getting out a good number of Tempest. Two Tempests are already down on the field, a third on its way out. Note he's hiding them. Doesn't want to reveal they're coming until the engagement happens. And that's because he wants to catch HasuObs off guard. And more specifically, catch his Colossi off guard. So he can start picking them apart with a couple of shots. War Prism coming down yet again from HasuObs. Looks like he wants to try and get a bit more success than he previously had in dealing damage there. We've also got, of course, a fourth base now getting taken by Socke. And a fourth base is an incredibly bold move. It's hidden off to the side a bit, and HasuObs isn't likely to come and scout over there. So this could be a bold but very rewarding play from Socke if he's able to keep it and get some mining from him. Few probes transferring over there, not going to give away the secret though, because that pylon can't see it. A lone Zealot trying to attack. HasuObs going for a big play. What is the the Tempest count is only at 3. A fourth one is nearly done though. So HasuObs, if he waits for this pylon, will be contending with 4 Tempests. That's a lot of damage up against those Colossi, and not something that he really wants to have to deal with. More Stalkers, more Archons, more Zealots coming through. Plus 3 is done for HasuObs. Currently about 20 seconds away for Socke, which means the slight upgrade lead is in position. But a Time Warp now comes down. The Tempest managing to get a few good shots off on one of the Colossus, not quite taking it out, but still forcing HasuObs back. A 5th Tempest is about to be complete, and that's going to really start ramping up the damage. That's when these Colossi have to be exceptionally careful. But there's a drop in the main, including a single Dark Templar. There isn't at the moment an Observer out, and Socke overcompensating for his lack of Observer by making 4. He's like, damn it, this is not happening again. However, it's the third base that's now taking a lot of damage. The Tempest, though, managing to snipe off one of these Colossus, and as more get taken down, it's going to get even harder. HasuObs retreating away, needs to make sure that these Tempests can't get those shots they so desperately require out. Hasn't for the moment seen... Oh no, he has. He does know that the 4th base is up there. Great Time Warp right in the choke, stopping so much of this army from catching up the distance. The Nexus, though, is going to be able to survive, but another big wave of Warpins come at the natural base. A Dark Templar in there, a lot of Zealots in there. The Observer, not with this army. A big engagement, though, on the left, and HasuObs is losing all of his Colossi. Boom, they go down to the Tempest. And while HasuObs is trying to fight this head on, there's just so many Immortals. It's the trading, though, at the natural base that's doing a lot more. The Dark Templar chipping away at any Zealots to try and come through. Worker count 66 to 60. But remember, Socke does have that 4th base up and running, so he can resupply probes a lot faster. We are seeing that Socke is about to lose, though, his natural base. So we've got just so many Zealots and Dark Templar bursting through it very fast. A Warpin in the main base probably going to come down fairly soon too. More Observers desperately trying to come out. But the main Nexus should now get taken down. More Dark Templar coming into the mix. Their high damage output is what HasuObs requires for the time being. They will take some damage from the Dark Shrine, but a lot more probes also getting killed. HasuObs will take down the main Nexus, but these are 2 mining bases that are pretty much mined out, so not actually achieving too much. The Robotics Bay is going... Robotics Facility does get taken down, but the Archons will clean up the rest of the units there. Both players suffering significant losses here, and really it's HasuObs who I'd say has taken more of a loss. And that might seem odd when you're saying, well, Madals, his worker count is 66 to 37. But sure, Socke lost his main and natural base, but what he hasn't lost is his 4th and 3rd. His 3rd is fully saturated, his 4th is only about 6 probes away, and of course the main is mined out for HasuObs and his natural is pretty low and he doesn't have a 4th. So overall, economically wise, because of mining efficiency, Socke is still completely equal economically to his opponent. HasuObs lost his entire army, and that's going to take him time to build back up. It's also worth noting that these Tempests weren't taken out ever, so Colossus are pretty much off the table for HasuObs. He's got to go into this Immortal Archon composition. What is going really well for HasuObs, though, is just the sheer amount of damage that these Dark Templar are doing. One of them just tearing through these pylons so quickly. And that doesn't quite supply block Socke, but it's definitely frustrating. Another Dark Templar attempted to move into the 4th base. Incredibly, and I don't quite know how this is possible, right? HasuObs has killed 64 probes this game. Socke has only killed 3. But as you can see from this graph, Socke is actually mining more efficiently, and that's all due to how he spread those probes. This 4th base makes all of the difference. And yes, there's drops coming down in the main, yet again, and HasuObs is being annoying, yet again. But no key production has yet been sniped. The Templar Archives going down would be annoying. Should now fall, especially the DT working at it. But aside from a supply block, which is now becoming frustrating, HasuObs is still not in the greatest spot. He's up in supply, but some of that's in these DTs down here, and Socke has cleaned all of that up now. It's a very close game. HasuObs macroing slightly more efficiently, keeping his resources down, and keeping the harassment high. Couple of Zealots now harassing in towards this 3rd base, and this is where some serious economic damage can be done. This War Prism now massively paying for itself. Only 30 probes remain. HasuObs has managed to kill 78 workers so far. And with the Photon Cannon taken out, this Dark Templar is having a great time, picking off a couple more probes. And this is really shredding Socke's economy. I'd like to see the War Prism though head over to the 4th base. That'd be great for him. Especially since the Archons are now coming to clean up this army. HasuObs backing out. Goes to safety. Just waiting in the middle. And where is the Observer? It's not with this army, but that means that, of course, damage can be done quite easily. HasuObs heading down towards the 4th base of Socke, and this is almost certain to fall now, just to the sheer amount of firepower at the disposal of HasuObs. So many Archons. And if this Nexus falls, that very well may be GG, because Socke won't have an economy then. And without an economy, he can't resupply. So even with a fantastic trade, which he's not going to get, HasuObs has got more than enough to stay in this, especially with his own 4th up. In the main base, HasuObs Archon getting a little bit of pathing issues here. So another pylon goes down. That supply blocks Socke yet again. But Socke doesn't really have the minerals in order to resupply there. Really frustrating. Another Dark Templar having a bit of fun. May get another pylon. Not quite. 43 HP it survives with. HasuObs transferring over some probes now. Splitting them all up. Fully saturates that 4th base pretty much instantly. Good times for him. He's got a decent army still standing. Up by 10 army supply. And overall supply is up by now 60, which is huge. The 4 Tempests that really were the saving grace of Socke in the mid-game are now in a very rough spot. Without there being any Colossi on the field, there's not much they can do. Socke is also only on 1 mining base, so the income now for HasuObs up by a huge number of probes and bases means he's got a much better economy than his opponent. But that's all due to the fact that HasuObs this game has killed 90 probes. Massive amounts of harassment that has been so effective, and the only reason that Socke has managed to stay in this game is because HasuObs didn't take a 4th when he did, and while HasuObs took out the main and natural, it was non-mining bases. A 4th attempting to get re-established now by Socke. HasuObs just happy waiting it out. He knows economically he's in a fantastic spot, so he might as well wait for max. And his max composition is going to be terrifying. So many Archons. 9 Archons. And at least 5 Immortals. May actually be 6. I'm not sure if a 5th one's already hit the field. No, it hasn't. Socke just adding in a couple more Immortals here. He's had to remake his Templar Archives at his 3rd. But now he's moving up the side. However, that pylon is going to alert HasuObs to its presence. Good numbers of cannons around everywhere also means that HasuObs should be able to defend his now 5th base fairly easily from any light harassment that comes through. The 4th, critical for Socke. It's really his lifeline to stay in this game. However, HasuObs now maxed out. There's no reason for him not to go right now. He's got a monumentally large supply lead overall, but his army supply is only 30 up. So HasuObs may wait, build a bit of a bank first, knowing that his opponent is going to be struggling economically, and hope that the resupply will win him the game. HasuObs, again harassing with 1 lone Dark Templar, taking out a couple of gases there. Hasn't yet scouted the fact... Oh, no, he does know this 4th base is here, so that's what he's posturing towards. Takes the central watchtower, and Socke should be feeling very cautious at the moment. HasuObs getting +1 shields, but interestingly neither player opting for any of the armor upgrades. Key reason for that is how heavily invested they both are in Archons. Archons benefit from the shields upgrades, but don't really benefit from the armor upgrades. Second gas is now getting taken out. Boom. Down it goes, but big engagement now in the center. We see that we've got a huge number of Archons, a massive attack line. The Tempest in the back attempting to get some nice damage through, but down goes Socke's Mothership Core, and just a far superior Concave is allowing HasuObs to win this fight. Jumps on one of those Immortals, focusing down the rest of his opponent's Archons, and finally the Tempest are gonna fall. GG is called, and map number 1 goes to HasuObs.